Beep, beep, beep. How's it going? Figured it was time for another fireside chat. Haven't been, I've made a few videos lately, but I haven't made many as I have been. It's been stressed and injured, really. I broke my neck when I was 13, and like where the injury is almost like where the it's you know I don't know. I guess I shouldn't even get on that subject right now. It's too hard to describe how it's related to the Morgellons, but it is. It's as if pre-existing injuries that I have had for a long time that is the first place that's going to be sore, obviously, or have pain. When you're getting tired or been overworked or whatever. But with the Morgellons, it's like it's like scar tissue is one of the areas where the fungus aspect seems to set in, like into scar tissue, and it seems to be like there's several things going on at once. You can't say that it's one thing is it's all interconnected. It's like a mesh. It weaves. It grows through our entire body, and it's also pulling in, feeding off the toxins, I believe, like on the metals. And there's so much, and our toxic response to the metals is like people have no idea how loaded with toxins they are. I mean, it's talked about, you know, as oh yeah, toxins, you get a detox and do this, but it's not emphasized enough. It's that people understand, or there, no doctors, no health professionals anywhere are even giving people the slightest idea of how actually loaded they are with toxins. It's not just like, oh yeah, you gotta, watch your diet and do. No, you're being injected with them and fed them and breathing them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from the time you're born, at least in this country. That's the American way. Um, which goes to my grand conspiracy theory. That's kind of the the impetus of my impetus. This kind of influences me towards my grand conspiracy theory, which is well, I mean it's a lot of it's similar to other people's ideas, but basically we're a slave race and we've been building infrastructure for someone, either elites or shape shifting other dimensional beings because they don't believe in no fucking space aliens. What a bunch of bullshit that is. They're, demonic entities basically, and they're through probably what we would think of as other dimensions, which we don't really quite understand, other than it's like a cable. They're right here next to us right now, but we're on a different frequency, so we don't see them, they don't see us. We can walk right through each other. That kind of concept. That's what another dimension is to me. But anyway, ain't no fucking aliens, ain't no space, ain't nobody went to the moon. The moon's not a place you can go in all likelihood. And but anyway, where was I? Okay, this I just haven't been making videos because I've been stressed out and my neck's been killing me. But my mud baths, my skin's felt really good the last few days. I haven't had too many skin issues until today. They started to pick up, like a little red line up my head, and it connects into the little area on the side of my head, which goes around the back here, and the line is on the side of my neck, but it's not always visible. It runs down like to my ear, and there's big solid area in my ear, like where there shouldn't be. It should be thin right there. There's like a lump there. I don't think it's an implant because it changes its size, but like this thing does also on the bottom of my arm right there. This thing right there changes its size depending on my health. I think it just moved. Wherever there's a whole lot of this stuff is I call it like where it's built up, I would say, in the joints especially. Where it's really built up, like in the joints, they're a little bit sensitive to it. I can, the heat, I feel right away. But other times or other areas that aren't quite as built up but are having a fruiting body or an off-gassing episode where I'll get, red spots will start to appear big time, and which is the red line is no different than the red spots. The red spots are everywhere. The red line is just for some reason in line. But my elbows are itching right now. Warm there. Those areas sometimes they'll not even. I can't feel the heat. It's like, you know, at certain times, not always. I mean, obviously I can. I've flinched a few times, but when there's an area and it really starts coming out there, I'll. It's like I can feel pressure, but I don't feel the heat, and I can feel like an effervescent feeling on my skin where little hairs are burning. Okay, whatever. I shouldn't have 150 billion hairs, this that are gold. They're all gold, you know. After burning a lot of this stuff off of me, or vaporizing it, I should say, because it's not really burning. It's vaporizing it. Um, it oftentimes in my lungs something will come loose, like some phlegm that I didn't realize was kind of stuck in my lungs or whatever, or my throat, and I'll cough it up. Or my neck, my shoulder, arm, whatever, will pop. Like when you're trying to crack your neck or something, and it'll do that in places where I didn't know it even needed to pop, or was or would, after vaporizing this stuff off. If and you know what, I made a list here of Morgellons things that are the weird things or the earliest things I could think of as I remember them from time to time. So I made a list, which I might as well just address the list now. In a fucking messy room. Let's see here. What do we got? This is a land of bullshit. Pure bullshit. Land of the free? Nah, you full of shit. Nothing that you see on this. Nothing that you see in crows is legit. All you talking heads need to just quit or get split. Propaganda fills up the land of the free. You and me never were. Understand a spell has been cast. Under strong delusion, you look for the light in the land of confusion. That's not my Morgellons list. Ah, there we go. No, that's a desert. This is like a poem or something. I don't know if it's really a poem. I'll get to the Morgellons thing, I guess. Okay, this is called Amalgamation. I wrote this a few days ago, actually, and you're like, what the hell did I write? It says, 1. Prepare the soil. Seed the targets. Nano metal in your feet and armpits. Looks like zits, but no, that's not it. Because if you got it, that's it. That's just getting started. And you should know this, man. I took a look at the back of my hand. Skin thick and veiny, pulse racing again. For no reason, right? All day, all night. Vertigo, brain fog, halo, sight. Every light, a rainbow. But really, a rain ring. But wait, it gets better. Turns into a brain ring. Don't even say tinnitus. That ain't even the same thing. What I wrote there? I'm trying to read my own writing. Under something sting. I'm the king of pain. See these wrists discolored and spontaneously pulsating? Let's see. It is. So if it is... Oh, I hear an airplane, of course. There we go. There, I gotta relax it. Bum, 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 bum. 1, 2, 3. 1,002, 1,003, and I'm pushing 120 beats a minute. Why? Because I'm sitting here reading. Give me a fucking break. And I hear it playing off in the distance. Slowly approaching. Okay, I'm almost done with this one. Where was I? But it gets better. Turns into a brain ring. Don't even say tinnitus. That ain't even the same thing. I mean, fuck Sting. I'm the king of pain. See these wrists discolored and spontaneously pulsating? I'm not debating. I'm simply stating the symptoms I live with, the debilitating of everyone at a rapid pace. And don't think, not me, it's all over your face. You can't not catch a case. It's already too late. Isn't that a happy poem? Alright, what do we got? Morgellons first list. Another. Okay, it's in here somewhere. I know it is. There we go. See, it was a lion. Okay, Morgellons symptoms of old. Scraping nodules from eyebrows. Okay, yeah, my eyebrows have been really giving me issues here lately too. There's like down the length of them, under the hair areas, little bumps, like the little bumps that come to the surface. But these are all focused. They're a little more than just your average little red bump. They're in the same spot. They stay there. They're like exit points or something, kind of like in the Matrix when they pulled him out of the pod, and all those little things popped off of his eyebrows, and all of his synth, yeah, all along there. I had and I could feel it under there. This was years ago. Everything's all swollen. My eyebrows were like freaking thick out on the corners, like Frankenstein looking and shit. And one day I got nothing to do. I'm homeless. I'm living in a fucking double wide with no power out in my friend's property. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, what? I started to bleed, so I was trying to get the bleeding to stop or just bleed itself out, the infected plasma fluid that's not really blood, because of the swelling. Eventually it just bleeds and splits open. So I was kind of like scraping along it with a plastic putty knife. It was a pretty sharp plastic putty knife though, and I just like scrape along and I just kind of would carry it with me throughout the day. And this was a couple weeks I did this, and it wouldn't scrape off. I'm trying to do it without scraping my eyebrow hairs off. I'm just kind of scrubbing it with the end of this plastic putty knife. Like I said, a fairly sharp one. And one particular night when 10,000 airplanes were flying over, and it was like on the verge of bleeding, and I'm just not from me doing it. It's just the crap coming out because my earlobe was split. Or actually, I think it was this one. They both bled since then. But, anyway, so I'm just kind of scrubbing it back and forth, and for probably an hour or so, and I look at the putty knife, and it's melted. It's melted the blade edge of the plastic putty knife, and not like a super thin one. It was a fairly thick, one you could scrape latex paint off of wood with. Anyway, and I'm still dealing with the eyebrow shit now, although it toned down for a while, but I just was having other issues that were far greater, like the pains in my balls and and in my side and my neck and my back and my fucking knee giving out, and child support wants their payment too. Oh, I better get on that right away and pay those other tickets so they don't suspend my license. Because, deadbeat dads and all. Scraping nodules from my eyebrows. Okay, number 2. Melted plastic putty knife. That was in there. White smoke vapor in the house after coming out of the tent heater. Okay, there was no power in the house. It was really cold in the winter in 2016, I think it was. 2015, 2016. And I had a tent in the house so that I could keep heat from the one heater that I could run on the long extension cord in the tent area. It was like blankets, in a teepee around the center of the living room. And it was when I was really having like the white hairs growing at weird angles and big patches of my facial hair that wouldn't grow there. My skin felt really waxy. Like I said, my eyebrows were all swollen Frankenstein looking, and my ear was bleeding, and I had pain that would run that line, the line that disappeared across my chest, the line that still currently goes across my forehead and to the masses on the back of my head and the back of my neck, my medulla oblongata, and connects to my spine and runs down the side of my neck here too. That line was all over anyway. Swollen, infected shit everywhere. It's like, because like I say, it's an infected plasma at a certain point. The skin, it's in the fascia. Whatever's growing seems to be in the fascia between, over your muscles, between your muscles, under your skin. So there's lots of plasma fluid in there. And we're so loaded with metal toxins that our immune system cannot keep that area from becoming infected. And so if you start having unusual levels of pain and problems, it's probably because of the toxic buildup in the plasma fluid under your skin from breathing the shit every day that nobody's got the balls to fucking come out and say anything about. Kimberly T. Rails. It makes me sick. This stuff started, and nobody says a fucking word. Oh, this is gonna be just fine. I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. The U.S. government's a bastion of whatever the fuck they are. They're bastards, is what they are. U.S. government's the best ever. It's the greatest thing in the world. Greatest country in the history of the world. Oh, they would never harm their people. They're here to help us. They're our friends. That's freedom spray. It is. Soon we'll all be free, thanks to that spray. Sooner than we expected, even. I digress. People are cowards. Okay, white smoke vapor. I'm in the tent. The heater I had is a dish heater. Like the radiant dish. There's no fan on it. It's just an element, and it reflects off of the back. And my face hurt. My jaw hurt, especially along the skin, along the jawline, and my neck was... So I'd be in that heater, and I started to notice that because it was so cold, I was in there with the heater, I noticed that the pain would reduce when I'd get close to it. If I get real close, and till it was, as close as I could stand it, and I'd feel like relief from it when I pull back after a minute or two, so I don't burn myself in some way. Pain level was reduced. Swelling seemed to be reduced too. So I was doing that for a few hours one particular evening in the tent in the middle of the living room. And when I came out of the tent, I pulled the power on the heater because I only run one thing at a time on the cord, and I plugged in the light. The entire house was filled with fog that looked like... You could see that it was fog, but it had a different quality to it than normal fog. Like a fog, which we don't really have anymore either, but that's another story. Fog gets dense real quick, and you could only see it a certain distance. This was like a fog that you could see it right up to close to you. It didn't seem like there wasn't any close. It seemed like I was right in it. But it didn't seem to get any denser as I looked through the length of the house. It just looked like it was even in some strange way. But I noticed it big time, like white smoke. And then so I went around to look to see if anything was like burning somehow, and there was nothing. It was vaporizing. The shit that vaporizes, it was coming off of my neck and my face because it was so infected with whatever and having issues. And being that close to that radiant heater, it sizzled it off, and that's what gave me the pain relief, which leads me to this today, the Fireside Chat, because it saved my life, believe it or not. I don't care if anybody believes it or not. If it's happening to you too, it's happening to everybody. If you're young enough, you're not having problems yet. I mean, toxic poison works that way. It's specifically being dosed to the entire population at a rate that gives you X amount of years before you start to seriously have health problems. And then once you're having those health problems, you're so toxically loaded that it's really kind of too late to do anything about it almost, which is what it was for me. I should be dead, honestly. But that's the plan. I mean, does people not see that's the plan? To slowly poison you so that your lifespan is short. You have a shitty short life and then die under shitty circumstances. And that's what your kids have to look forward to, too, by being quiet about all this and not trying to do a fucking thing. What a shit coward nation we have. I digress. So anyway, white fog, yeah, from the toxic metals. Came out of the tent in the living room, okay. The airplane connection, oh yeah, because it flares up, I've talked ad nauseum about that. Airplanes coming, it creeps and crawls, the lumpy area on my head begins to swell, the sides of my temples begin to swell, my veins begin to pulse, and my heart suddenly is 120 beats a minute, thump, 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 when I'm doing nothing at all, which is probably coming on right now, because I hear my ears fucking starting to ring now. Crash and burn, faggot, in a fucking plane. Okay. Oh, and that was just a general opinion statement, you know, to the a-holes in their airplanes. That is not directed towards anyone, and it is not a threat in any way to someone in a plane. So YouTube can kiss my ass with your stupid. I had a video. It was a great video I made, and I just ended up letting them, take it down because they're trying to say it was inciting violence or something like that. Because I flipped off the sky and told the dude in the airplane to crash and burn. Yeah, like the dude in the airplane heard me, and that's a threat of violence towards him. Fucking what a joke. Okay, moving right along. Fatigue. Check. Nail fungus. Yeah, I don't even want to get into that. Liquid in the ear. Oh, yeah. You know what kicked off the shit getting out of my body was my nails were having, my toenails especially, issues. Big time. Morgellons related, of course. Toxic related, I'm sure, because toxins sink down to the bottom of your body. Gee whiz. So I had this the nail fungus stuff with the little brush. You just brush on, and it would help my toenails a lot, but it would only get to a certain point, and that was as much as it helped. It didn't go beyond that, and there were still issues. But the itching was freaking in my ear, creepy crawly bug sensation from Morgellons. Going in my left ear big time, and it was just driving me nuts, and I'd try and pull little hairs out of there if I could find them, and it just finally I'm like, you know what, if it's a fungus, I know what to do. And I took the brush and I brushed some of it just in the inside edge of my ear, and it relieved the itching right away, and I calmed it down some. And when I got up the next day, there was a little sore on the side of my head, like right by my ear, and it got a little bigger, and then it started to move, and it moved, and it took it about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and it moved to my eyebrow right here, and proceeded to bleed its way slowly across my eyebrow, my forehead, my other eyebrow, swell up down here, move over down into this cheek over here, and my earlobe turned all red, started bleeding. Whatever infection thing that was, whatever little creature was living down in my ear, it didn't like the toenail fungus stuff, and it kicked some of it out. Alrighty then. Hounded by flies and moths, especially moths and flies. For a couple years that was going on, and then the shield bugs would appear, and fucking, yeah, I'm gonna get on that too. Jawline, earlobes, I talked about that a little bit. I think I gotta have to end the video now. I'll get to the rest of this list later. I can read it real quick. Jawline, things, the hair wouldn't grow, and if it did, it was white and at the wrong angle. Oh yeah, the first time I put mud on it, 'cause my face was hurt from sores and different things, and I knew the cold mud would, help, at least the pain. And I was by myself out there. It was pouring down rain, and one night I just scooped up some, clean mud, packed it on my face, and it did. It felt better. I was like, oh, what a relief, So I had, thick mud, not like, it wasn't out to here that thick, like a beard of mud, no. But it was gooey mud, so it really stuck well. And I walked in the house, and I wanted to see what it looked like, with the mud all over my face. And I looked in the mirror, and it looked like worms were coming out of my chin, like dangly, like, an inch or two. That's what I thought I saw at first. When I looked in the mirror, I saw white, round, kind of ends, mostly on the end of my chin here, some of them off the side, like that Pirates of the Caribbean movie, one of the three or something with the bearded work. It sort of reminded me of, and I thought there were worms in the dirt or something that I had scooped up somehow, some little worms or something, and I like squeegeed it off my face with my fingers, and like swatted it to the ground, and as I did, I saw the mud that I just scraped off falling to the ground, and there it didn't look like there was any worms on it at all. It was only when it was on my face it looked that way. As soon as I wiped it off, it seemed to not be there. And I know I saw what I saw. What I think it was is that the mud was a medium with which whatever the energy that is inside these fungus things, whatever it is, or it's nano. I don't want to get lost in the trying to get details I don't have and can't prove. But there was some type of, you know, some source of energy radiating out, causing all my problems with the swollen veins and the infection and the ringing ears and pain and the bleeding fucking eyebrows and earlobes and shit. Something's causing that. Some sort of energetic action is taking place. And when I looked at it and saw the mud, it looked like worms or something. I just pictured like streams of energy coming out, and the mud taking the form of that energy because it was a malleable medium. Is the impression I got. So, but I was shortly after that I took my first mud bath actually, and I really was not getting any better until that. It was after that first mud bath I took that it started to turn around, and that was like 2016. Although it's taken. Well, obviously I'm still fucking dealing with it, but yeah, I've it's just it's too much. I can talk about what works for me, but no sane person is going to just go, oh yeah, that sounds reasonable and logical, but it is. But it takes a long time of